Mission in Japan, 13 Sabbath Offering projects in South America, and recipes from the Mission 360 kitchen coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause. Today's program is coming to you from Tokyo, Japan, the most populous urban area in the world. In 2016, it was estimated that there were some 36 million people living in Greater Tokyo. This is the area of Shibuya, which is perhaps the world's busiest crosswalk, and in this area, the world's two busiest railway stations. Well, on today's program, we'll be looking at mission here in Japan and around the world. But first up, let's look at 13 Sabbath Offering projects in South America.
On this Sunday morning, Fortunato climbs the hill towards his workshop. Today, he'll teach a class on how to make a leather bag. Fortunato lived many years as a cowboy in rural Peru, but eventually settled down in Cusco to start a family. Perched high above sea level, Cusco is an ancient city, once the historic capital of the Incan Empire. Not far from here, you can find Machu Picchu, a World Heritage Site. People from all over the globe come to visit this marvel. This area on the edge of Cusco is still developing as the city continues to expand. There's limited electricity and no running water in this neighborhood. Many families here find it hard to earn a steady income to improve their quality of life, so Fortunato got an idea. He wanted to equip his neighbors with a new skill, leather crafting. Fortunato's workshop is filled with tools, supplies, and handmade goods, reflecting his many years of experience in leather crafting. He invites everyone from the community to his workshop to learn this skill. Before each lesson, Fortunato shares a short worship thought. He opens the Bible to a passage he thinks God will use to speak to his visitors. Then they continue on the leather crafting lesson. Fortunato teaches his guests how to cut, glue, and sew the leather together to make a beautifully crafted bag. Throughout the class, he connects the lesson to his earlier worship thought. Fortunato believes that Christ's method of ministry is the most effective way to share the gospel with his community. Through his leather crafting ministry, he has planted multiple churches. His latest church plant is called the Loma Linda Church, which roughly translates to the Beautiful Hill Church. It's a fitting name for this location that sits high atop a hill overlooking the city of Cusco. This small congregation meets each Sabbath to dive into Bible lessons. They listen, learn, and ask questions about things they've been studying throughout the week. An important element of the church service is the music. Each week, a small group of musicians performs with traditional instruments, singing in both Spanish and Quechua, a local native language. Fortunato's brother-in-law, Ciriaco, leads the music each Sabbath. He has a ministry of his own. Much like Fortunato, Ciriaco volunteers his time to teach classes, specifically music classes. He offers both children and adult music lessons once a week, working around the people's schedules. Today's class is for children. Ciriaco loves how eager they are to learn and how quickly they grasp concepts. He starts with the basics, but over time, they're able to follow along as they sing or play various instruments. When a group has made some progress, he invites them to come play for the congregation at church. Many who come to perform return week after week to keep hearing the stories about Jesus. This congregation is continuing to grow through Fortunato and Syriaco's outreach efforts. This quarter, a portion of your 13th Sabbath offering will help build a youth-focused community center in Cusco, Peru. This center will be a place where people can come for a variety of activities that will connect them with Adventist church members. Please pray for church planting in Cusco and throughout South America. Thank you for supporting the mission offering.
My guest today at the Satagaya Church here in Tokyo, Japan is Risa. Thanks for joining us, Risa.
Thank you.
Please tell me, you're a member of this church, but how did you first become a Seventh-day Adventist?
Well, I wasn't really Christian until I was 22 years old. So I went to the US and just to study 3D animation. And I didn't go to any Adventist college and Adventist high school. But then my cousins they are Adventist, and I didn't know that actually. But then they told me, hey, maybe you can go to the church there. And I was like, okay, But in that time, I didn't really go to the church. But then second time, they also asked me, hey, maybe, you want to go to the church? So I was like, okay, maybe this time, yes. And then I actually found that there's a Filipino church, SDA Filipino church, just behind my house.
Oh.
And so I didn't know that. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll go. And then there are a lot of young people actually. So I got a lot of fun there, and I had really good time there, and also learn Jesus there. And so there's a lady there's a girl, around same age, so
Yes.
I'll just say her girl. So she taught me Bible. So we had a Bible study together. And then she said that she has a friend, Japanese friend here in Setagaya Church. He's now, coming to this church, and he became a leader of this church. So I was like, okay, I'll go to the church. And when I came back to Japan, I started coming to this Setagaya Church. And then, how I became a Christian, when I was in the States, I got baptized before I came here.
Okay. So what difference did it make to your life when you became a Christian?
Well, actually, I had a family problem, especially I have a problem with my dad. And dad passed away, when I was 14.
Wow.
16, sorry,
Yes.
16. So I really, regret, because I said really bad words to him, and my acting was really bad. So I was really regretting, what I've done to him. But then one day I saw the dream, and I had a dream. Then he just saw me, and he was lying down on the, the floor, and he just saw me. And I was like, okay, maybe he didn't forgive me, But then next day, I also had the same dream. He was lying down on the floor, and he was also, seeing me. And I was like, okay, maybe it's the same dream that I had, first day. But then he just say thank you to me. And it just reflect me like, oh, that's a Jesus, whatever. If we were really, we're really sinners, but even though we were sinners, he always forgave us, right? And so, I just, thought about his Jesus, from my dad. And then, so I decided to get baptized that time.
Okay, wonderful. Now, you're involved in this church. Tell me some of the activities that you have here.
So in Setagaya Church, this is the only youth church in Japan now. And so we always have English Bible meeting every Wednesday now. And so people who wants to learn English, they can come to the church, and then also they, discuss with, they have a discussion about the topic of Bible or whatever, general topic.
So this is something for the community that
Yes,
and you advertise on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we also we just had the Maranatha evangelistic series, and there's a lady who is living around here, and so she was really interested in our church, and in the last day of the series, she just came to the church. And then she was like, I was really, a little bit curious about the church, so she came to the church. And then now she has been attending the church for 3 weeks.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
yeah, I still, praying about her, and I want you to, pray about her too. Also, this is the youth church. So we call, the youth attending this church call, their friends too. And then actually there are a lot of, youth people actually graduated Adventist college. But then after they graduated, they never, been to church. I mean, they're not coming to the church anymore, right? But then because this is a youth church, that's more easy, for them to call, young people. And because we have a lot of young people here,
So it's more attractive.
so it's
for
more
them.
attractive.
Okay.
So we call more, people who haven't been to the church for a while. Like recently, we have a lot of, like young people, like around 18 years old, or around that young kids. They came to the church because this is a youth church. That's why it's more easier to get those young people here.
Wonderful. What are your hopes for the church in the future?
But this
Yeah.
church. Well, now we have a lot of young people, but also I want more people to come and to decide to get baptized. It's fun, young people are here and talking with, the same age people, or we also have a game night first Sabbath day of the month. So we have a game night, and so we have a lot of like young people come. But not only that, I hope that we will have more like Bible study groups with them, so that they can also learn Bible. And I really know that they really truly wants to learn Bible.
Yes. Wonderful.
So yeah, that's my hope.
Risa, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And viewers at home, please pray for this church here, but the church in general in Japan, which is facing many challenges. Pray for the young people with their enthusiasm and energy as they share the good news, that many people may come to know Jesus Christ as their Savior. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Tokyo. If you're enjoying Mission 360, I invite you to visit our website at m360.tv. There you can catch any episodes you may have missed, or you can view again stories that you liked. You find a lot more information about Mission 360. Next up, a delicious vegetarian recipe from the Mission 360 kitchen.
Welcome to our Mission 360 kitchen, and we like to share recipes from around the world. We like to think of the world as kind of a global neighborhood, and so we're going to share something with you today that I think you're going to really enjoy. What's on the menu today?
Today we're going to make a chilled strawberry soup that is inspired by Chile. Chile is actually one of the leading exporters of strawberries in the world. Did you know that?
Wow!
It's impressive.
Well, yes. Actually, I think I have seen some strawberries from Chile during the winter time here in North America, so
That makes sense.
we get to enjoy them a lot longer.
All right, lucky us.
Well, the ingredients that we're going to be using for our soup recipe is very simple. We're using fresh strawberries. We're going to use about 4 cups of them. We're going to use a cup and a half of the orange juice, and if your strawberries are a little bit tart, you might want to add a little bit of sugar. Otherwise, if they're sweet, you don't need to use the sugar at all. And just for a variation, we're going to put in a little bit of allspice and a little bit of cinnamon, just to make it interesting. We're also going to put in a little bit of lemon juice, just to kind of keep it fresh. And so let's get started.
Okay.
So first we start with the strawberries.
Okay.
Sometimes people think of this recipe as more of a smoothie, but it can be a smoothie or a drink or a soup. But we're just going to call it a soup for today's purposes.
Strawberries look so
They
ripe
look
and
nice
delicious.
and red. And then we just pour in the orange juice over it. If you need to, you can substitute apple juice for that. So it kind of depends on what you have in your kitchen. And here's a little bit of lemon juice we're going to add, a tablespoon.
Just a little bit.
Okay. And I'm going to add, just because I like the spices, I'm going to add just a pinch of these spices, just to add something to it. And you can always adjust it and add more as you wish. Or you can just leave them out.
But they'll add a little bit of a kick, just noticeable.
Yes, it will be. Shall we put just a little bit of the sugar in?
I'd say just a
in
tad.
case. Yeah, there we go.
Good.
We'll save the rest of them in case we need it.
Okay.
All right, let's put the lid on. Okay, so we're just gonna pulse this a little bit until it gets nice and mixed and pulpy. That is really quick. So we're going to show you what it looks like in a fancy glass, in case you want to use it as a drink. So I'll give you a little taste, Kayla.
What a treat.
That's enough to taste.
Perfect, thank you.
Here's another one. So let's give it a try.
So good.
It is good.
That's
The
delicious.
strawberries are really delicious. That's one way to have it. Another way to have it would be to serve it just in a bowl like this. And you've already tasted it, Kayla, so, but that's one way to serve it. I'm gonna put some here in my bowl. And you can always garnish it by adding a slice of banana or a piece of papaya, or just leave it as it is. But here we have a bowl of cubed banana bread, which makes it a little bit chunkier. A lot of people like something that's a little more substantial. So give that one a try, Kayla. See what you think.
I can't wait, I love banana bread.
Does it taste the same as before, or does it taste different with the banana
It does,
bread?
but I get the banana in there, and the nuts.
Great.
Really good.
Great. I think you could put it on granola
excellent.
or use it over your oatmeal, or just use it as a drink like this too. So thanks for joining us at Mission 360 Kitchen, and we'll see you again next time.
Welcome back to Mission 360. If you're enjoying our program, I invite you to follow us on social media. Just go to Facebook and or Instagram, search for Mission 360 TV, and click follow or like. Next up, we travel to South America to see some 13 Sabbath Offering projects.
Each time Nilda goes home, she's reminded of God's grace. It was just a few short years ago that her home in Salvador, Brazil was destroyed by a landslide caused by heavy rain. This wasn't the first time her world fell apart. When Nilda gave birth to her son, Nathan, her husband left her. Nathan was born with autism and cerebral palsy, making it difficult to nurture him as a single mother. She had no money to spare because all of her money went toward medical bills and treatments for her son. After the landslide, Nilda had no money to rebuild her home. Her faith in God slipped away as she fell into a deep depression. But then a fellow church member heard what happened to Nilda's house and called for a church meeting. The local Adventist church banded together and completely rebuilt Nilda's house. They even reconstructed it to a higher standard than before to protect against flooding and landslides. They also added a second level to ensure there would always be a dry living area for Nilda and Nathan. Nilda sometimes visits the lower level where she and Nathan had lived before. This space reminds her of the rainy nights she didn't sleep, hauling buckets of water out of the rooms. Sometimes the water would flood high enough to reach her knees. The furniture was destroyed over and over again, but Nilda's greatest concern was for Nathan to get a good night's sleep. She remembers carrying Nathan up these stairs every time they needed to leave the house for his treatment or simply to buy food. It was a time when Nilda's hope was slipping, but her Adventist neighbor's compassion gave her hope again.
Eu vi o mover do Senhor I saw the Lord moving in our lives as He had compassion on me and my son. I saw that they did what God teaches, which is to love your neighbors. Today, if I see a person in need, I will take the time to help them as well. This is the love the Lord wants us to exercise. They made me very happy.
Today, Nilda's house proudly displays a sign that says, Builders of Hope, a project of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The community was so touched by the generosity of the Adventist Church that they began visiting her and asking questions about it. The church members not only rebuilt Nilda's home, God also used them to rebuild her faith.
I open my doors to everyone. My house is a house of prayer for everyone in the community. The people come here to worship and sing. The things that were done in my life, I try to pass on to others. The love and compassion we need to have for one another.
Nilda is passionate about spreading the gospel. She's the leader of a small group that meets in her home every Friday night. Through this small group, many of her neighbors have given their hearts to Jesus.
I just want to thank God for what He has done in my life and in the lives of my children. May God keep using me each day through His Holy Spirit that I may be a light and a living example to show people that Jesus is coming soon.
This quarter, a portion of your 13 Sabbath offering will help construct a church and urban center of influence in Salvador, where Nilda lives. It will also help another project in Brazil and 2 projects in Peru. Please pray for these projects as God uses faithful church members to touch the lives of people throughout South America. Thanks for supporting Mission.
Well, that's about it for today's program, and I hope that you've been challenged and inspired by our 360-degree view of mission around the world. As we look at huge cities like Tokyo, we see an amazing mission challenge, and as you walk through the streets and the neighborhoods, you see communities, you see sub-communities, you see families out for a walk together, and you look at the high-rises and you ask yourself, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have a home church in each one of these high-rises? And I hope that you've been challenged by what you've seen regarding church planting, because as we plant new groups of believers, the church begins to grow, the church becomes healthier, and we become what God wants us to be. I want to thank you so much for your continuing support of mission around the world. And before we go, I want to show you a small music video. And as the music plays, please take the opportunity to pray about mission, pray about your personal involvement. I want to thank you for your prayers and your financial support that helps mission go forward. For Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.
この素晴らしい福